Eric Dubay lives in Bangkok, Thailand, and Phuket Word lives farther south on Phuket Island. They both lived in Thailand for a number of years. And it's quite confusing to me that they can believe in a flat Earth, because what I'm going to show is that the observed Thai sun orbit is impossible on a flat Earth. Of course, they both believe in the flat Earth model, where the flat Earth sun orbits parallel above the Earth's surface between the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn. So this is an orbit path that would be impossible on a flat Earth. I mean, all it takes is common sense looking at this diagram to understand this. Of course, this is the actual sun orbit that we do see in Thailand. And how do I know this? Because I've been living in Bangkok for the past few years. Also, many years ago, I worked in the scuba diving industry as a dive master, taking tourists out on scuba diving trips. This was on Phi Phi Island, which is just to the east of Phuket Island. So I'm very familiar with the sun orbit in Thailand. Now this represents the sun orbit on the equinox. We have the sun rising in the east, and then at noon, the sun is slightly to the south. This is because we are a little bit north of the equator. So there's a slight tilt to this sun orbit. Of course, later the sun sets in the west, and if you continue that sun orbit, it goes right underneath you as the sun returns to the eastern sky to rise again in the morning. Now, if the Earth was really flat, this is what the sun orbit would be with real perspective. The reality is that the sun could never set. And all you need to do is know a couple calculations in trigonometry to figure this out. So let's humor the flat earthers. Here's the Thai sun orbit with perspective squared, because of course we have to add extra perspective to make it work, because that sun does have to go around the other side of the North Pole in Thailand. But you can clearly see that this sun angle is not what we actually see in Thailand. But again, this is what we actually see, and of course that sun path goes nowhere near or around the North Pole. Now, of course, like other places on the Earth, we do have the sun orbit move farther south during the December solstice, and of course farther north during the June solstice. But again, nowhere near or around the North Pole. So here's a video from Phuket Word to show that yes, this is the orbit that we actually see. So I've drawn these circles in here, and you can see the sun is traveling down this circle line. You can see this is a pretty steep angle to the horizon. This is Phuket Island from Google Earth. This is Camelot Beach. Phuket Word's mentioned this many times, so this is where he takes most of his videos. And you can see that it is almost 8 degrees north of the equator. So let's draw an arrow through that sun path that he recorded. Now I add a protractor to this, and this matches what we would expect on the globe. Phuket Word's about 8 degrees north of the equator, and it's about 8 degrees from zenith here. If you went down to Singapore, you would see a sun rising and setting perpendicular to the horizon. And I'll show you a clip of this at the end of this video. Here's another thing to consider. We know the sun travels across the sky at 15 degrees an hour, and the sun is just a little bit bigger than a half degree in angular size. So I was able to make this graphic to represent where the sun would be at different times in this video. Up here is 7.5 degrees, or a half hour before sunset, 15 minutes before sunset, and of course here is sunset. Now all it takes is common sense to understand that this orbit path is going to continue downward in a straight line. 15 minutes later, the sun is going to be this far below the horizon. Obviously quite impossible on a flat Earth. And as I said, this orbit path continues right underneath us as the sun returns to the eastern sky to rise later in the morning. So Eric Dubay claims that the sun doesn't go over any horizon, It's simply too far away to see, which makes no sense at all because I've never seen the sun just disappear because it was too far away. So let's play a video, Eric, and see how this actually works. I don't know about you, Eric, but it looks like that sun is not too far away to see. It looks like it's being hidden by the horizon. You know what? It also looks like it is going below the horizon. So why would you say it's simply too far away to see? Still going below the horizon. I bet you if I removed that water, I could still see the whole sun. Eric, I think we can safely say this is not the truth. We just watched the sun go below the horizon, and that is why we could not see them. And now, the world according to Phuket Word.
It will appear to sink towards the horizon, the center of our field of view, as it goes off into the distance, but it won't go any lower than that.
Now wait a minute, so where does the sun go now? I mean, is it taking a nap? Is it taking a coffee break? Boy, I can hardly wait to find out.
So when the sun sets and appears to go below the horizon, it's just going to the center of our field of view as it goes away into the distance. And because the solid surface is also there in the center of our field of view, then the sun is cut off.
Are you serious? So you're saying that all day long from noon to sunset, we don't see a change in the angular size of the sun, but now when the sun gets halfway below the horizon, suddenly it starts taking off away from us and just shrinks into nothing. Do you understand this breaks every rule of perspective there is? Well, wait a minute though, this is from Phuket Word, so this is not surprising at all. And let's take a look at his theory. I actually got a video from Phuket Word of a sunset. So let's see how a real sunset holds up to this supposed theory of his. Well, the sun on the right is shrinking, but the sun on the left appears to be going down below the horizon. So here's some screenshots from that video. Of course, the dark line represents the actual sun, and the dotted line to represent the sun as it should be seen if Phuket Word was correct. So again, we can clearly say that this is not the truth. This is just made up nonsense. So in conclusion, again, this is the observed sun orbit that everybody in Thailand sees. This orbit path is confirmed by a video by Phuket Word. And again, if we continue this orbit path, we can see that it clearly goes down below us as the sun returns to the eastern sky to rise in the morning. And here's the setting sun in Singapore, just north of the equator. And look at that, it's setting perpendicular to the horizon. Impossible on a flat earth. So if you believe in the flat earth, please research the globe, use some common sense, and ignore the flat earth lies. Because what we saw was that Phuket Word and Eric Dubay were not telling the truth.